Hello and welcome to my channel, From Profession to Passion, with me, Vicky Mittman. The purpose of this channel is to inform and inspire professionals to live their careers on their terms. Whilst the traditional route in many professions may work well for some, it isn't for everyone, and there are different ways of doing things. On this channel, I'll be sharing my own story of how I combined my profession in law with my passion for coaching and mentoring, and I'll be interviewing other professionals who've developed their own side hustles, changed career directions altogether, or found some other way to involve their passions in their professional lives. I'm delighted to be joined today by Dirk Sanden. He is an accountant by profession and has an MBA, but that's really only the very beginning of the story. So Dirk, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and where you are now?
Absolutely. Hello, Vicky. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, indeed, I'm an accountant. I did my MBA. I mean, in principle, I followed the classic way of doing a certain career when you're getting into the accountancy profession. That's not the reason why probably you want to talk to me. And maybe the best way to introduce it is maybe by using a story. And I would like to share a story with you that I really like. It is a story that goes over to South America. It is a story about the wise women and men that are sharing already for generations, for centuries, a certain story. And the story goes like this. When you are born, everyone, when you are born, according to their wisdom, you are getting two books. One is a silver book and the other one is a golden book. So from birthday on, you start reading in the silver book. The silver book is full with all the experience and all the stories and histories of, well, the predecessors, the fathers of the fathers of the fathers, the mothers of the mothers of the mothers. So it's all our knowledge. You can also say it's a kind of accumulation of the social rules, the do's and the don't do's. And according to their story, you are learning a lot from this book, and it makes sure that while you are growing up, becoming hopefully the person that you should be, you are applying these rules, the golden rules of the society. But they also say that while you're reading this book, obviously you're only doing things that other people so far have done. And they say, according to their wisdom, there is always coming the time into one's life where you are pausing, where you're reflecting. And that's the moment where you, at least for a couple of moments, close the silver book and you dare to open the golden book. The interesting thing with the golden book is that there's not even one single word in it. So what that means is that if you have reached that point in your life where you're asking yourself certain questions, whether you are still on track, whether you're really living your life in a very authentic way, whether you're really living up to your personal best self, etc. You're starting asking these questions, and then questions like popping up, like, okay, what am I standing for? Who am I? What really matters to you? What are my core values that I'm standing for? And what is still what I want to achieve, etc. So all these are quite fundamental questions. And you don't answer these questions just within a split second. I mean, that takes a while. But that's the moment when you start writing your own story in your own golden book. So that's a bit long introduction to what I'm doing currently. But I had literally this moment around 6 years ago in my life. 6 years before, it was very simple. I had everything that the society was promising, what they promised, what I will have. So I had my successful career, had my money on my bank account, I had my retirement pension plan, I had my house, I had my car, I had my motorbike, my family, I could travel to whatever exotic places. So all that thing that the society is promising you when you are following the rules, of course. So then 6 years ago, I was finding myself sitting in my living room, 5 o'clock in the morning, when everybody in the house was still sleeping, and I was not happy. I was absolutely not happy. So that was my kind of wake up call. So I was sitting there, and I wondered what happened. That according to the contract, everything should be fine, and I should be happy. And then I started actually opening this golden book for the first time in my life, and I started asking these questions to myself: what really matters to me? What am I standing for? What is it? What are my core values? Things that I will never sell on any marketplace, etc., etc. Really fundamental questions. And it actually took me weeks and months before I really started answering these questions, because I did my research, I was reading, then I was writing again, and more I was getting into this inner dialogue with myself. The more clarity I had. What is it actually what matters to me, and what I want to achieve, and what I still want to achieve for the rest of my life. And now you could say, interesting. What happened then? I realized that step by step, I had a much clearer idea how to deal with the things in my life, because before, I was quite overwhelmed with everything that I did. It always appeared to me that it felt like I tried to juggle with 15 balls and keep them in the air, which is a quite tough job. It gave me at least a lot of stress. And the more I got clarity about what really matters to me, I built a filter around myself. And through this filter, since then, only things passing to me that are really supporting me and my mission. So to stick to that picture today, I would say I'm juggling with 3 balls, which is quite easy. And the good thing is, I love these 3 balls. I love to juggle with them, right? That's a little bit my introduction. I don't know, is that clear? Does it resonate?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think certainly people listening will resonate with getting to that point where you're just not quite sure if you're living in alignment with your values or even what your values are. And I think there can be certain moments in life when those questions arise, probably a bit more naturally, but also it can happen at any stage. And certainly it happened with me when I was in my law firm and I was thinking about progression opportunities and did I want to become a partner and how that would look. And then I thought, no, that just doesn't feel like it's on my path. And often there's only one way that we think we have to do things, particularly in a corporate world. We think this is the next step and this means success and that means more money, prestige, position, and that's the way forward. But I didn't want it and I couldn't work out why. So I took some time to think about why. And I think that's a really great way of putting it, actually, that you start looking at writing in your own golden book rather than just carrying on reading the silver book. I think that's a really nice story. And I'm interested to know then what your golden book turned into for you.
Yeah, my golden book, the funny thing is that my golden book literally turned into a book. I was actually writing, because after years of doing this inner work and inner dialogue and writing, I said, well, it looks like, because the more I was talking to people, the more I got the feedback that, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm also in this stressful situation, for example. I'm also having a lack of clarity. I also wonder what is still waiting for me here. So people were kind of searching for a deeper meaning. And that was very interesting. So the more I was talking to the people encouraged me to say, Well, that looks like that you went through this journey, you started this journey, and you have a kind of concept how to get there. And then I actually put it was in 2019. Yeah, 2019, I put this as my top goal. I was so scared, you can't imagine. I was really scared to say by end of 2019, I will write a book. I mean, I'm not an author, right? I'm posting few things left, right, and center on LinkedIn, but this is it. And out of the sudden, I put myself under this pressure to write a book. So I was scared, definitely out of my comfort zone. But there was also something that I learned while I understood what is actually important to live a deeply satisfying, fulfilling life. Often you need to kick your own butt out of your comfort zone because it's there where the development is rating and where the fun is rating, the joy is rating. And instead of being scared constantly about changes and think other things that might happen, I learned step by step to turn this being afraid or the fear step by step into being curious. Just turn it into curiosity, because with that you have a complete open mindset. You say, oh, let's see what's coming. And of course, and then you mix it a little bit with expecting the best, etc. And then things are working out. So long story short, I wrote a book which is called Your Lighthouse Journey. And I'm using because I mean coming from up north in Germany, from the coast, and I love this picture of a lighthouse. Not only because it is a robust building, it can stand, I mean, all the wind, and no matter how hard the weather is going, it stands there rock solid. But not only rock solid, it also spans the guiding light. And that was for me the fabulous picture, that if you can manage to live your life like a lighthouse, rock solid, you are standing there with your values, with your golden life rules, and you apply them no matter what it is, really in an authentic way. At one point, you reach the point when you're building this lighthouse, you reach the point where you reach the top level. And the top level is the light that you switch on. And based on this constant discussions that I had with friends, with people from work, with family members, they really said, well, this is exactly what probably people need to see. They need to see the light. They need to understand that, yeah, you can be part of this corporate work culture, for example, and still live up to your best self. You can, it does not mean when you have done this kind of, we have started, let's call it this journey of higher awareness, does not mean that out of the sudden you have to quit your job and you need to go to the, I don't know, Himalayan mountains and then getting a sage or something. That's not what it is. You can easily stay where you are, but you are much more in peace. And that obviously resonates with a lot of people, because according to what I see in my surroundings, there's a lot of people that are not necessarily in peace, but they would love to have a peaceful, joyful life that is filled with fulfillment and with purpose. And I think this is something that really resonates with a lot of people. And I think, for example, Vicky, you are also one of these lighthouses. You're shedding also your light to showing other people that, yes, you can be, for example, a lawyer, and still you can get in this inner dialogue and start your own journey and see what's in it still, what's waiting. And that's probably what I would like to achieve with my book, to encourage people just to dare to think different, dare to think your own thoughts, and even speak up, right? Speak up like really, like as if you're talking from the bottom of your heart. And that's something that is, you don't see this very often, and it needs a bit of courage. But I can tell you also, based on experience, once you have started that, it's fabulous. It's a great experience.
I think so. And there are two things that really stood out to me when you were speaking. One is the idea of, building the lighthouse, and the final thing there is the light, but you really can't shine that light until you've got your values and your, what really makes you tick, and really understanding yourself properly. Until you've built all of that, it's very difficult to shine a genuine and authentic light. And that was really, it became very clear to me when you were talking. That was exactly where I was heading, and it's something that I didn't have when I was full-time employed. But that's not necessarily to say I couldn't have had it. I just didn't have it entirely within law. And actually, it was partly for me because I was only exploring one of my interests, and I had this other side of me, this sort of secret life, when I went home and I started reading books about motivation and confidence and mindset, and I loved it. And I thought, gosh, if only I could have a career where I did this. And now I do. But it was because I dared to think about, how can I do both? Because I didn't want to lose law. I think a lot of people say, well, I'm fed up with my profession. I want to, ditch it and do something totally different. I didn't want that, but I just didn't want to be a lawyer all the time and only a lawyer. I wanted other things. So I found a way to make that work together. And I've got to say, I've been a great deal more myself in that journey, because I feel that I have this flexibility and freedom, which allows me to be more genuinely me, whereas I didn't when I was full-time employed as a lawyer. And some of that is being my own boss, which has its own challenges. Some of it is managing how I spend my time between those two parts of me, but it does work. But I think what also came up to me when you were speaking is I talk to a lot of people who are at that point where they don't feel satisfied. They feel there's something missing or something's not right. And they think they need a change, like to branch out, to do something different at that point. But actually, it might not mean that they need to branch out. It might just mean that they need to figure out what their values are for you, what their true mission is. Because it might be then, once you've done that, you can carry on and excel in the role you're already in, or go on to promotion and partnership or whatever it might be, director role within your organization, but with that confidence and that self-belief and that satisfaction, which you hadn't found previously.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I fully agree. And I think that's probably what I also realized then, because I did it. I mean, I did it before, where I think there's something wrong, I need to change. So then I changed my job, for example. And I realized that it was fine for 6 months, but then this dissatisfaction was creeping up again, which was again confusing. In the meantime, of course, I understand what happened. I mean, we all have our stories, we all have our experience, and I always like to use this picture of a backpack. We all have our backpack, and that is stuffed with all our experience, bad and good, with all what we have learned. There's of course also this silver book stuck in that in that backpack, right? And we all have that. So what happens if I'm not happy and I think I need to change my job? By the end, I take my backpack with me. It's always with me. So what I learned is that at one point you need to pause, literally. I mean, if you're on a walk and you have your backpack with you, you also need to have a pause at one point. So put yourself on the bench, take your backpack off, and maybe open it and dare to look inside of your backpack, what's inside, right? And not in terms of judging or any regrets, what you have done in the past or what you should have done in the past. Not at all like this. Just like an observer, put yourself into the observer position and just look what you have there. And then you need to understand that all that what you have there was necessary to bring you exactly to this present moment, to reflect and to see, okay, that's interesting. So what's now? What is it that is now waiting for me? And I think this is a big moment when you do this, and then you're getting into this dialogue with yourself. And it has to be very honest. I mean, sometimes, of course, your ego will always jump in and will tell you a lot of funny stories, and you don't want to hear that anymore. But the moment you understand this relationship between your subconscious mind and your conscious mind, and this ping pong game what these guys are constantly playing, that's a big step ahead, because then you understand, okay, yeah, no, my subconscious mind, my ego just wants to protect me, right? Mm-hmm. It's a little kind of my little compliance officer, right? So they want to protect me, and that's fine. And no blame game, no finger point. You just say thank you very much that you want to keep me from moving out and get out of my comfort zone. But this time I do this consciously because I know what is waiting for me. So that's an interesting discussion, inner discussion that I have with myself. And people might say, Jesus Christ, this guy is crazy. He's talking to himself. And then I always say, yeah, but when you're talking to yourself, there's one thing for sure, at least you're talking to a competent person, right?
I really like that. And also, I think the backpack metaphor, again, it resonates because we do carry this stuff with us all the time. And whilst we're not looking at it judgmentally or with the intention of criticizing it, it might be a good time to reflect and say, is some of this valuable? You know, if we are holding on to, for example, preconceptions about how to do a certain job in a certain way, you think, is that serving me very well? And if not, do I need to carry it with me? And I think we carry a lot of things with us all the time, and a lot of it's of our own making. And it's when you can sit down calmly and look through the backpack and perhaps figure out what isn't serving you very well, that might be a good time to, you know, to look deeper. And then that lightens the load a little bit, but you still got your experiences and your learning and your teachings, which are valuable.
Absolutely. And I think it is always something that when the more you're getting into this inner dialogue, the more you understand what really matters to you, and the more you also understand what kind of golden life rules working well for you. I try to put this in my book in a kind of catalog of rules that you can apply. And I'm not claiming that all the rules that I put there are working in the same way for other people. I got feedback that it does for certain rules and for others maybe not. But I think it is just important that you find your own way. I mean, that's probably what I would like to encourage encourage people to say, hey, find your own way. There is not impossible as long as you stay on the highway of life, which are so crowded with all the other guys, there is a high probability that you're getting very frustrated. At one point, you need to dare to put the indicator, take the exit, and find these small roads, the small ones that are not so busy. Maybe at one point you will end on a single trail where pretty much no one is walking on or running or driving. But these are the roads where you will have a lot of fun because you understand that this is exactly your road. And by the end, it's just a question of clarity, because the moment you have the clarity and you understand what you want, you can program your own GPS like this. You can put a kind of address in your personal GPS and say, okay, for example, now I go off-road. With all the risk, that is linked to it. But I mean, this is what it is. I mean, if you want to have a fun life, you also once in a while need to take a bit of risk at least to see where it brings you. Sometimes maybe you take the wrong direction, and you will find this out. But then at least you tried it, right? There's no regret left that you're saying, oh, I should have done this or should have done. No, you tried it. It was working or it was not working, but at least you know what's going on. And that's something that I think people should get more and more used to it. Just do it. If it feels right, that's this kind of emotional guidance system that we all have access to, everyone. Yeah. If it feels right, go for it.
Absolutely. I think that's a really powerful message. And I was actually going to ask, what advice would you give your very young professional self, your 21-year-old self? But that's just perfect, isn't it? You know, just if you feel it's the right time, go for it, take the chance. Because I think that's something that certainly I felt, and I know other professionals that I've spoken to have. When you get into this corporate role, you become quite risk averse, and you become someone that, you know, you sort of ignore your gut feelings a little bit, for the purpose of, you're in this safe, protective environment and you're going in the direction that you're meant to go in. That's what society has said is it's a good way to go. And a lot of that's a social contract. A lot of that's a construct in our own minds. But I think having that, something's not feeling right, or this looks like an exciting opportunity, if you take it and it doesn't work out, you've probably learned something anyway. It might well work out. It might well lead to other great opportunities. And what's interested me when I've spoken to people on this channel, I've noticed that people who've done it once have then had very little problem doing it again. So, for example, I was speaking to someone just a couple of days ago who has already developed a side hustle that became her then full-time business. And since then, she's developed 2 or 3 more businesses because she's responding to things that are coming up quite easily. And she said, when I was employed full-time, I would never have even been thinking about the opportunities, let alone actioning them. Whereas now, because I've done it, and occasionally, one doesn't work, that's no problem because there'll be something else. And I think having that resilient mindset, or that confidence to follow your gut instinct, is crucial.
Yeah, no, I mean, I fully agree. If you do it the first time, if you set sails for the first time towards uncharted water, it really gives you really a strange feeling in your stomach, and your ego is all over the place and wants to keep you in the safe harbor, right? But if you do it again, second time, third time, I don't want to say it's becoming a routine, because that sounds quite boring, but you always have this excitement, but you're not so afraid anymore, because somehow, step by step, is what I said before, you're turning this fear into curiosity. And that happens step by step. It's, of course, nothing happens from one day to the other. It is just, that's probably something that I would give as advice, would give me when I was, 20, 23, when I started my career. This compound effect. I mean, I was not aware of the compound effect. I was always expecting, if I'm expecting something and I'm walking towards something, I want to achieve something, it has to happen in a kind of big bang, and out of the sudden it's there, right? Today, it's like, when people want to get, lose weight, for example, want to get in a better physical shape, they're going, into a fitness center for 2 hours. They're checking in the evening. They're checking in front of the mirror. They're checking their body. Nothing has changed. They're doing this the next day. They're doing 3 hours of workout. They're going back again. They're checking again the mirror. And nothing has changed. And probably they do this once or twice again for, let's say, 4 or 5 days. And they see no result, and then they give up, right? By the end, the compound effect only says that do your 20-minute workout every single day for the rest of your life. This is it. Yeah. And then you see the results. You see results after 3 months, after 6 months, after 9 months. The results are coming. And that's exactly how, according to my understanding, life works. Because you need to have an idea. You need to have your mission. You need to have to put a strategy down, break this down into milestones, and step by step you walking towards. And the rest is, I think, a little bit, you need to understand if it really excites you, what you're doing there. And that's why it's important that you need to have this inner discussion with yourself. What is it? What really makes my heart sing? That's the big thing. And then once you have that, you can't really go wrong. Yeah, it's like this, right? And then there are a couple of other rules that I've learned down the road. It's maybe we can spare something for the next talk.
For the next one. Well, I'm sure I'll be inviting you back again. But that was really great to hear some of your perspectives. And I think it will probably resonate with a lot of people, just because they're either at that point or they've been there and they can see it. But hopefully it will get people thinking a little bit about what their real core values are. And that's not a quick thing. It's not like you write a list in 20 minutes and you're done. It's something that you evaluate for many months and weeks, and probably reevaluate most years of your life. It's a bit like working out or working on a business. It doesn't just happen once and it's done forever. It's probably something that you keep doing, and you can add to those values and you can change them, but as long as they're true to you and genuine, it's a much happier life. Well, Dirk, thank you very much for joining us. If anyone wants a copy of your book or to get in touch with you, how's the best way to do that?
Well, probably just try LinkedIn. That's the easiest one. You can find me there, and then we can get in contact. And I, of course, more than happy also to introduce a bit more of my journey and answer also questions for people maybe that also have started their own journey, and then we take it from there.
Super. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you for watching this video, and I hope it's provided some food for thought. If you've enjoyed it, please subscribe below and feel free to like or comment. I'd love to know what you think. If you're interested in hearing more about this, please join my Facebook community, From Profession to Passion with Vicky Mittman. I'll see you next time.